What legal protection do you have if you invest in cryptocurrency? In this video, I'll discuss the legal status of crypto assets, how to spot and identify crypto fraud, legal regulation on the sale of cryptocurrency, and the tax you have to pay if you own crypto. Before I start, I'd like to thank barrister Chloe Bell, who provided the information which has gone into this video. Her details are in the notes below. Crypto assets are becoming more popular and acceptable investments. They're easy to purchase and trade online. Bitcoin's stratospheric increase in value makes our eyes water. The first thing to bear in mind is that, legally speaking, no one is quite sure what cryptocurrency is. Crypto assets themselves are unregulated by the UK Financial Conduct Authority. They've also not been classified yet by the courts or by Parliament. We're still some way from legal clarity on their status, making it very difficult to provide clear advice about crypto assets to most people. There have been some interim court decisions saying that they are a kind of property, but we still don't know what kind of property they are, whether they can be possessed, or whether they are a type of money, although the Bank of England has said it doesn't think cryptocurrency is a type of money. As an example, in a case called AA against persons unknown, a Canadian insurance company was infected with a piece of malware called BitPaymer, and all their data was encrypted and held to ransom. A fee of $1.2 million was demanded to release the encryption key, and eventually an agreed ransom of $950,000 was paid by their insurers in Bitcoin. The insurers then attempted to trace and recover the Bitcoin ransom. In a court application for an injunction, the court concluded that crypto assets can qualify as property capable of being owned by someone, and therefore granted the injunction. Now, all that might have sounded a bit academic and irrelevant to you, and it is, but these things do matter, particularly when things don't go according to plan. A common problem is crypto fraud, which often happens following spear phishing. That's where a fraudster or a hacker gains access to a computer and transfers your crypto assets out of your wallet into their own. The question then is, how do you get it back? And the answer is, it's likely to be extremely difficult and extremely expensive. The first difficulty arises due to the pseudonymity of individuals holding and transferring crypto assets. Now, just before I explain that, would you like this video? You know why. YouTube algorithm, my ego, that sort of thing. I'm assuming that half the people who get this far into this video will like it as a favour to me, and half will think, I'm not doing what he says. Now, if you're in that latter half, do not like this video. Anyway, 3 seconds to do it, if you would. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Pseudonymity. Pseudonymity means it's very difficult to identify who the fraudster is, and if you can't identify them, you can't bring legal proceedings against them. It's sometimes possible to identify them by getting information from a crypto platform, but that's an expensive legal application against a vast entity incorporated in an exotic offshore jurisdiction, and which will only breach the privacy of those using the exchange or the platform if forced to do so by a court. Sometimes it's not even enough to get an order in English courts, because the platform might insist it's first declared enforceable in their local jurisdiction. Now, all of this requires the assistance of specialist asset tracers and lawyers, and that requires money. So if you don't have that money, which most people don't, your cryptocurrency will likely be gone for good. The best way to avoid falling subject to a fraud is to double and triple check the wallet address you're about to click send on to make sure it's correct. And that's the entire address, not just the first few or the last few digits, which is how fraudsters disguise an incorrect address. Now, if you're investing in crypto for the first time, a friend of mine, Cora Harrison, has put together some brilliant videos on how to do it. And there's also a link to her channel in the notes below. What then about our regulators? What are they doing to help and protect consumers like you who invest in crypto assets? Well, the answer is regulation is at best minimal and at worst non-existent. The Financial Conduct Authority does not regulate the crypto assets themselves. So if you bought £100 worth of Ether which was worth nothing the next day, there is nothing the regulators could do about it. But since the 6th of January 2021, the Financial Conduct Authority has banned the sale to retail consumers of derivatives and exchange-traded notes based on crypto assets. For example, it's no longer legal for retail consumers, that's you and me, to enter into contracts for differences where you bet on the price movement of a crypto asset against another currency like the US dollar. Some of the reasons for that ban are because of the extreme volatility in crypto asset price movements and the inadequate understanding of crypto assets by retail consumers like me. A number of these kinds of contracts are traded on margin, so a retail consumer might only have had to stump up a fifth of the overall amount being invested, but may become liable for all and any losses on the entire amount. Now, prior to the ban, individual consumers in these situations stood to lose a lot of money in an extremely volatile market. Crypto asset companies also have to comply with the money laundering regulations, which means they have to carry out customer due diligence. The Financial Conduct Authority has created a register for existing crypto asset firms to show they're complying with money laundering regulations, and it's advised consumers who deal with crypto asset firms to check if the firm they're using is on the register. If they're not on the register, and if they're not registered in another country, it means the company is operating illegally, and the Financial Conduct Authority recommends withdrawing any investment or assets from them. However, the Financial Conduct Authority emphasises that even with this register, it's not responsible for ensuring crypto asset businesses protect consumer interests or money, and it's unlikely that consumers would be able to get redress from the Financial Ombudsman or the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So if the crypto asset business you entrust your money to is hacked, and that's happened, or if they go out of business, you have no legal protection. Another area in which consumers can be subject to fraud is in relation to initial coin offerings. Now, initial coin offerings are the crypto world's equivalent of an initial public offering. The way it works is I might decide to invent the Barnet coin tomorrow. In order to raise capital for the Barnet coin, I'll ask you to give me some money, and I'll promise you that the Barnet coin will be as valuable as Bitcoin in 2 years' time. Now, you're attracted to this magnificent investment opportunity. You give me £5,000 and I give you 5 Barnet coins in return. Now, because the market's unregulated, because these assets only exist on the blockchain, and because their value is unpredictable, there's a very good chance you'll lose all your money. Many of them have been scams, with scammers simply disappearing after giving you your valueless Barnet coin, never to be heard of again. I think the general message to consumers is to avoid investing in initial coin offerings unless you've taken robust and independent advice on its legitimacy, and unless you're also prepared to lose all of your money if a legitimate initial coin offering doesn't work out. Now, what are your options against the providers or the platforms themselves? In the absence of regulation, one of the limited options available to a consumer is to bring a breach of contract claim against a provider or a platform. Now, to do that would require you demonstrating that the provider's breached one of its terms of service. As a consumer, this is going to be difficult, partly as you won't have the necessary information about how the platform technically operates, and also because the provider or platform will be reluctant to share that information. In addition, most providers' terms of service contain arbitration clauses stopping consumers from going to court and requiring them to solve or resolve any dispute in a private process, which may be extremely expensive for the consumer. Now, there are some mechanisms in the Consumer Rights Act 2015 to get around these clauses if they're considered to be unfair. For example, the Arbitration Act 1996 says that where a claim is worth less than £5,000, a term which requires the consumer, you, to take disputes exclusively to arbitration is automatically unfair. But the Consumer Rights Act 2015 is a difficult piece of legislation to interpret. Consumers are likely to require legal assistance, which again costs money, and the platform is likely to fight very hard to keep the arbitration clause, which will also increase the cost to you. What about taxes on crypto assets? Well, HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, has just published a manual on its approach to taxing crypto assets for individuals. I'll put a link in the notes below. Every individual's case is different, but at a high level, you're liable to pay income tax and national insurance contributions on crypto assets, which either you receive from your employer as a form of payment, or which you receive from mining, transaction confirmation, or airdrops, which are all activities people do to help the operation of the blockchain, and then they're paid in cryptocurrency for their assistance. More importantly, any gains you make will be subject to capital gains tax when you sell the crypto assets. Now, there can be difficult questions about the location of crypto assets at any particular point in time for tax purposes, and that's something you may need to take specialist advice on. In summary, the crypto asset world is exciting and revolutionary in many ways, but from a consumer's perspective, from your perspective or my perspective, the excitement and promise of instant wealth gets murky very quickly without much by way of legal protection. At this point in time, our laws and regulations are underdeveloped, and the legal infrastructure doesn't provide cost-effective ways for consumers to resolve disputes or grievances, unless you're buying a Barnet coin. Very reputable seller, and they'll go up to millions of pounds in the next fortnight. Thank you for watching. If you don't subscribe to this channel and you'd like easy to understand explainer legal videos, you know what to do. And I also recommend my friend Cora Harrison's channel if you're thinking of buying crypto. That's here. And here's a video I think you might like. Thanks for watching. I'm Barrister Daniel Barnett. Bye bye.